Hey everyone, welcome back to A Little Bit of Monica. It's me, your host, Monica, and I am so excited to be jumping into week 2 of May, which is week 2 of Escape the Readathon. If you don't know what Escape the Readathon is, this is a month-long competitive readathon created and hosted by Lexi over at Books with Lexi. This is a crazy month where teams are competing to escape the Orange Cat cruise. You go room to room, reading for prompts, and trying to get your team out of the cruise before the other team can. For this month, I am a game master, which means my sole purpose is to cause as much chaos as possible, and every book that I read goes against one of the teams each week. For week 2, I have been assigned to the podcasters. This team is hosted by Books and Heather and Melanor Reads, and I am so excited to be assigned to this team because it means that every book I pick and every book I submit is going to go against this team. If they're trying to get in a room, I'm trying to keep them out, and if they're in a room already, I'm trying to keep them in there as long as possible because it means they can't move on to the next one. And I have some really big plans for this week, so let's get into what I am hoping to accomplish and also what I am currently reading as we jump into the beginning of this vlog. So my goal for this week is actually going to be focusing on my arcs. Every month I try to pick a week to be my arc week so that I can really focus on my NetGalley arcs, get my ratio up a little bit, turn those around, because I love reading arcs and getting to support authors in advance of their release day. It's going to be a little bit chaotic, but my arcs are going to be my priority this week. The only exception is that I am currently in the middle of a Stephen King book, which is not an arc. So I do want to finish that one first, and I am like 3/4 of the way through, so I'm going to get through that one pretty quickly, hopefully. And then the rest of the books I am hoping are going to be my arcs. Like, that is my goal. That is my objective for the week. So the first book that I am reading right now is The Long Walk by Stephen King as Richard Bachman. And this one I am enjoying a lot. It is a little bit of a slower pace because the whole story is about 100 boys who start on the Long Walk, which is an annual thing where they literally walk until they die. They walk until they cannot walk anymore, and it is the last man standing. Like, they are trying to be the last person on their feet and walking. The caveat is they can walk no slower than 4 miles per hour at any time. And when I think about this, it drives my brain crazy because I could not do this. Like, I said this in my vlog last week, but it just keeps coming back to mind, especially with this book. But like, you know, when you're reading a book and you're like, you know what, I think I could do that. Like, I think that doesn't sound so out of the realm of possibility. Like, that sounds like something I could maybe do, or I could survive that. Like a horror or like a slasher when you're like, you know what, I think I would make it out alive. In this instance, I would not. And I am fully aware of that. I could not do this. They are walking for days on end, hundreds of miles. At the point where I am in the story, they have already been on for more than 24 hours and over 100 miles. It is insane, and they cannot stop for any reason. They get a couple of warnings before they like are, you know, but they can't stop at all. They can't stop to go to the bathroom. Yeah, just take a second. They can't stop to go to the bathroom. They can't stop to eat or drink. They do get replenished with food and water at certain intervals, but they can't stop for any reason. To rest, they can't do anything. They have to sleep walking. They have to sleep while walking and hope that they don't slow beyond 4 miles per hour or else they get yelled at, and possibly if it's their third warning, they could die. So it's a lot. It's a lot to comprehend. But I put it into perspective because I have been recently getting back into a regular schedule of walking casually, walking while I watch TV, walking while I read, walking while I listen to music, doing things like that just to keep myself moving, keep myself active. My walking pad only goes up to 4 miles per hour. That for me, I'm a relatively short person. For me, 4 miles per hour is a jog. It is a light jog, not a walk. So like when I'm picturing these guys, I'm thinking they're like, oh, casually. No, they're fast walking. They are booking it, okay? And they can't stop. And it's just a lot to think about. So I think that the putting it into perspective is what's really helping me move through this book a lot, because objectively, like, not a lot's happening. It's literally just a tale of like telling how each boy drops off. We are focusing on one main character, Garrity, and his experience, because this is also such a psychological horror. A huge element of this book, not just the physical of like, can they physically walk that long with their ankles breaking and their feet bleeding bleeding, but it's a psychological battle because at what point do you give up? Physically, your body is deteriorating, but is your mind still in the game? Are you still willing to push yourself? Because until your mind gives up as well, a lot of these boys are continuing to push through. So I love the psychological element that goes along with the physical horror of like their feet are just giving out or their legs are giving out, things like that. So I'm really enjoying this one, but the pacing is a little bit more difficult. Like it's not like a lot of things are happening all the time. They're literally just walking. It's also one of King's like relatively shorter ones. I know some of his are known for being like massive reads, and this one is relatively short in comparison. So it's not too bad. I am going to power through. I'm hoping to finish this book today. I was hoping to finish it yesterday and I didn't, but I only have like an hour-ish of the audiobook left of reading time. So I think I can definitely accomplish that. But the other book that I am currently reading and absolutely loving right now is Steal My Breath Away by Sarah Castile. This book comes out in June and I'm obsessed with the concept and I'm obsessed with how it's going right now. I am about a quarter of the way through this book, so there's still plenty of time to go and like continue forming my opinion, but I am really loving this book. I did talk a bit about this in my last vlog, but this is brother's best friend and bodyguard and fake dating trope. All three wrapped up into one. This is about a young woman who is in college. She has the aspirations to be a singer, a performer, and she is in college when she is the victim of a kidnapping attempt. It is a failed attempt, but she discovers that it's in conjunction with her mom's career as a senator. So she is now in danger. So her mom hires a bodyguard to come with her on campus to blend in as her boyfriend. But the caveat is this is her brother's best friend from when they were kids. She also had a crush on him. They had a little bit of a thing. She was heartbroken. There's some complications there with their relationship, but she trusts him and he would do anything for her. Like the protection level that he has for her is so insane. He is a security guard for like other celebrities and stuff, so he has the security background and the military background to do the job, but for her he would do absolutely anything. I love the dynamic. I love the two characters and the depth that we're getting from them already just from the first quarter of the book, understanding a little bit about their history, but we are also getting two timelines here because we are not only getting two perspectives, we're getting both Ace and Haley's POVs like as the story is going. However, we are also getting flashbacks to like throughout the years of when they've known each other. So we get when they first met when they were in like around middle school. There's a 3-year age gap between the two of them. So we get to see when they first meet, and then we get to see how it progresses from there, how Ace fits into their family unit, and how I am assuming over time we're going to see the dynamic shift away from like childhood friends to a little bit more and growing those feelings. I cannot wait to finish this book, like to keep going in it. Last night I stayed up really late reading it because I didn't want to stop. It was so good. So I'm really excited to read the rest of the book, and I will keep you updated when I do so because I'm obsessed. And I have a feeling I'm going to try to like absolutely devour the rest of this in the next like day or two because I can't thinking about it. It's just got such good trope and the writing is really good and like just the whole vibe. It's here and I'm loving it. So anyway, those are my reading updates, but I will have other arcs coming after I finish these two books. These are just my current reads that I want to finish before I jump into the rest of the arcs, but this one is an arc, so it counts towards my objective for the week, and I am very excited to be jumping in. I think that's all I have for right now, but I will certainly be keeping you updated as the week progresses and as I get to submit some books against these podcasters. Oh, they're gonna hate me by the end of this, but I can't wait. I finished reading The Long Walk, so let's talk about my final review now that I have finished it. I think I'm landing on like a 3 to 3.5 star rating, probably leaning more towards a 3, because while I did like the book and I do think the pacing was pretty decent, it felt very repetitive because the entire plot of this book is just listening to 100 boys walk until they die, and there's only so much that can happen to them. This whole book takes place over the course of maybe like 5 or 6 days of them literally just walking on the street until their feet give out, until their minds give out, and we're watching these boys deteriorate step by step. And I think this is really interesting in a lot of different ways. I think a lot of the characters had some depth that was nice to explore, especially the boys that Garrity meets early on, and we get to see how far they all make it. And getting to the end of the book, I can't say that I love the ending. This does have a little bit of an ambiguous type of conclusion, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't love that. I do feel like I wanted more concrete information, more concrete plot, or at least foundation for the plot. Now, in my Discord, we have been talking about it back and forth a bit, and I understand that this book was written with the context of the Vietnam War, and there was a lot of allegory with kind of the unnecessary violence and the way that these boys were walking, like literally for no reason. But the problem is, I wanted explanation for why the long walk exists. I wanted to know why these boys volunteered to enter this competition, knowing that only one person was going to make it out alive, and the fact that history tells us that the winners don't even survive that long afterwards because of what their bodies are put through during the walk. So I just feel like it doesn't make sense why the boys would be entering here, and I think that there was an explanation missing. And I know that that was intentional to make this more of an interpretation of the draft, of unnecessary violence and war and things like that. And I get it. But if you don't know the context, then you don't get it. And I know the context, and I still wish that I had more information. So that's kind of where I'm sitting with this book. Overall, I do think it was good. I think the writing was interesting and the characters were interesting enough that it did keep me very invested. I was so invested in how these boys were managing to walk 4 miles per hour. Incredible. Like, I actually unhinged that they were walking that fast and able to do bodily functions and not stop. Just not stop walking. Like, that's hard enough as it is. So I was very impressed with their ability to do all of those things. I just wish that there was a little bit more of explanation and background for things, because it was very much like the story starts with them showing up and getting ready to start walking, and we don't get a whole lot more than that, other than there is one of the boys who has an uncanny amount of information about the long walk and how it works and everything like that. But that's pretty much it. So yeah, this one was not as great as I had hoped it would be by the ending. I just wished that I had gotten a little more from it, but I do think it was still a solid read, and it is relatively short compared to some of Stephen King's other books, so that is also a plus. But that means I am done with this book. I have submitted it against the podcasters. You're welcome. It is day 1 of reading for this team, and I have already read against them, which is very exciting. But I am ready to move on to Steal My Breath Away, and I don't think I'm going to finish that today. I don't have any delusions that that's going to happen, but I am really liking this book, so I'm excited to pick it back up and jump back in and hopefully finish that within the next day or so, because I have some other arcs that are on the horizon as well. So that is my update. I am waiting for Matt to get home with some food, and then today is May 8th. And May 8th is the season 18 premiere of Criminal Minds Evolution. Criminal Minds is one of my very favorite shows. It's kind of a comfort show for me. Absolutely love it. And the new season came out today. Well, the first episode came out today. So we are going to be watching that while we eat dinner, which is very exciting because I've been waiting. And Matt is also a little bit excited, but don't tell anyone I said that because he doesn't want people to know that he kind of likes the show sometimes. But yes, we are going to be watching that, and I cannot wait. I can't wait. So I'm gonna go get set up for dinner, and I don't know what I'm gonna do for the rest of the evening, but I'll check in with some progress and some things going on a little bit later. So it looks like it's gonna storm soon, which is kind of some of my favorite weather. I absolutely love rain and I love storms, and it just looked so nice. So I decided to come outside for a little bit, and it's actually kind of chilly, kind of windy, but I love this weather. It's like the perfect springy type of vibe. And just like, I spend too much time inside. So it's been really nice to step outside for a couple of minutes. Oh, it just feels so good out here. I don't think I can stay out here long because it is kind of cold, even in a sweatshirt, but this is much needed. Some much needed outdoor time. It is time for some book mail opening. I have been letting the boxes stack up. These couple of boxes came over the last few days, and then I got 2 more orders today from Barnes & Noble. So this is the Illumicrate Evernight horror subscription box, and I don't even remember what the book is, so we're gonna find out together. Okay, I am remembering now. Let's rip into the bubble wrap. This was from the April box, which this is a quarterly subscription. It is Chuck Wendig's new book, The Staircase in the Woods. I have been so looking forward to reading this book. I have yet to read a Chuck Wendig book. However, I did go to an event last year where he talked about horror, and it was like an event all around horror, and we had a couple of horror authors there. I heard him talk, and I still haven't read any of his books, so that is a deep regret of my own. However, this book is hauntingly beautiful. I love the dark colors, the edges, like a moment. for the etchings on the like wood design here. It is beautiful. We have some end page designs as there typically are, and they are as stunning as always. Oh yes. Look at this. Look at this masterpiece. This is absolutely stunning. I have no clue what the significance of all of these images are, but this is obviously the makings of a house, and I cannot wait to actually read this book. Okay, I admittedly did not know anything about this book before I read the description, but this is about 5 teenagers who go on a camping trip and a staircase appears in the woods. One of them goes up the staircase and then it disappears, and so does the person, and then 20 years later the staircase reappears. This sounds so freaking good. I love the idea that it takes place on a camping trip, because that means it's got this, like, obviously based on the title we know it's gonna have something to do with the woods, but I absolutely love a woodsy type of setting. But this like mysterious disappearing staircase, I cannot wait to actually read this one. Next up, we have another box from Illumicrate. This is Afterlight, the romance subscription. And honestly, I don't even think this was a monthly book, because I don't remember getting any of the last few. But this is in fact a special order that I had made a while back of a pre-order for a new book. So let's take a look at the brand new Emily Henry, A Great Big Beautiful Life. Is that what it is? Great Big Beautiful Life. I always get this name mixed up in my head, because in my head I am always singing the song from Shrek the Musical, and he sings It's a Great Big Beautiful World. No, It's a Big Bright Beautiful World. I don't know, I'm getting the two mixed up in my head now, and every time I think of the book I think of the song and vice versa, so I never know which one is which until I actually read it. This is Emily Henry's Great Big Beautiful Life, not from Shrek the Musical, and once again Afterlight kills it with these designs. This is absolutely stunning, and it matches really well. I have the special edition of Funny Story from I guess last year probably, and I love how pretty that one is. I have read Funny Story. I have not read this one, so I don't know if I'm gonna end up liking the book itself, but I love the design, so there's that. Here are some end page designs that we've got going on. Ooh, we have a cute little romantic moment, and then an absolutely breathtaking naked hardcover design. I absolutely love when books have such a pretty design. It makes me want to display the book from the naked hardcover, but then I don't know what to do with the dust jacket, so I end up not doing that. But I think about it every single time I see a naked hardcover like that. So there is the new Emily Henry. And then the last box that I have from a subscription box, this was my newest delivery from Bookish Box, and this is the very first box that I've gotten the combo of the Bookish like fantasy and Darkly. I was only on the Darkly subscription for a long time, and then in January I picked up the combo. So this is the first time I'm getting one from both of the subscription plans. So let's check out this first one. Ooh, okay. It has a little like cover slip thing on it, but I still have to open the plastic first. There we go. Okay, so this one, I love this little like slip cover type thing that I can't get off either. Oh my god, this is a disaster. I don't want to damage it or the book. Okay, so the book is Wings So Wicked by Emily Blackwood, a Golden City novel. So I'm assuming this is like first in a series, probably. The back says you're a killer huntress, you're a predator, you carry sharp blades and even sharper teeth. We have some sprayed edges that are beautiful as always. And then we have some end page art. I absolutely love Bookish Box designs. Also, there are stickers that come with each one, so I have that as well, which also reminded me what this book is going to be. And we have one Pucked Up pack by Sarah Blue. Let's take the plastic off this and hope that it's a little easier than the last one. Okay, so here we have the design of the dust jacket. This is so pretty. I love the kind of like neutral tone. We have some edge designs. Then we have some end page designs that look to be pretty similar. And we have a reversed dust jacket image here. Love this. This is beautiful. And then a really simple but stunning and reflective naked hardcover. This is so pretty. I love how simple this one is. Because the dust jacket is also so busy, I feel like it's a really great balance. So here is this one as well. I admittedly do not know the plot of like either of these books. I think one Pucked Up pack is probably hockey and werewolves if I had to guess. but I'm not really sure where we're gonna go from there. But that is the Bookish Box duo that I have gotten. But I'm not done yet because I still have 2 more boxes from Barnes & Noble that just came today. Let's see if I can actually open these because I can never actually get these to rip. Honestly, why do these have to be so terrible? I will never be able to open one of these boxes properly. Like, I swear. I do have 2 chances, so I have 1 more box. But like, seriously, I will never open these correctly. Whew, she's here. Silver Elite by Danny Francis. This is such a highly anticipated purchase. I pre-ordered this the day before it came out because everyone has been talking about it. And I also think that I'm going to love this book. I want to read this as soon as I possibly can, but I do have 1 more book that also came today. Let's see if I can do the pull tab. I can't make this up. I truly cannot make this up. The only good thing is that the little like plastic rippy thing did not pull the whole way off of that one. But the other book, ooh, getting stuck. The other book I received is Shield of Sparrows. Also, the sun is coming in this window and it is like blinding me right now. It's golden hour. But we have Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. This book is the like special first edition type of thing, and I have heard endlessly good things about this book too. So this was another very highly anticipated new release. I think both of these books just came out on Tuesday, so that's very exciting just to have some like brand new books in my hand. Yes, a couple days late because Barnes & Noble never delivers them on the release day, which is fine. It's fine. But this is absolutely beautiful, and we have some like artwork in here as the special first edition, which is stunning, and then a nice little foil image on the front. I again have heard endlessly good things about both of these books, so I'm very excited to have them in my hands and to hopefully get to read them very soon. I have so many books that I need to read, and I just received 6 more, so like who knows what's gonna happen, but I'm going to add these to my TBR. But here is all 6 of the books that I just opened. I cannot wait to add these to my shelves and hopefully to my very near future TBR because I want to read these books. I want to turn them around as fast as I can because I need to stop collecting books and then not reading them. But there we have it, a little book unboxing. I finished my 2nd book of the week already, so we have to talk about it. Stole my breath away, okay? I did not expect to love this book as much as I ended up actually loving it. I think I'm giving this 5 stars. It's 4.5 probably, but rounded up to 5 because the reading experience was incredible. I found myself wanting to stay up late reading this, and I didn't have an audiobook. This is an ARC. It comes out in June. I didn't have an audiobook for this. So just my eyeballs were reading, and I found myself not wanting to stop. I would get to the end of a chapter and be like, just 1 more chapter. Just 1 more chapter. It's fine. And then I found myself not reading just 1 more chapter, but like 3 more chapters and then 3 more chapters, and I just didn't want to stop. I read the entire second half of this book in 1 sitting this morning. So this book was so good. However, I do need to start by saying I think it needs to have a content warning page, and this particular edition does not. Because this is an advanced copy, I know this is not the finished version, and I don't know if they're going to have a content warning in the finished copy, but I do think that they should, because based on the back of this book, there's a lot of things that happen in here that are not warned about, and I think probably should be. For instance, so much of this book is focused on grief, loss, and trauma processing. The main character, Haley, loses her father and her brother before the events of this book take place, but basically everything that ends up happening in this book is kind of a result of the way that she has processed her grief from both of those losses. This book takes place a couple of years after the second person has passed away, and we do get to see a couple of flashbacks to life during those times, but honestly, so much of this is about the fact that she hides away her emotions and she doesn't confront them, and then it bubbles up and it really impacts the rest of her life. So much of this book is based upon grief and trauma, but I absolutely loved some of the conversations that were had and getting to see the depth of what those things can mean and how they can really impact interpersonal relationships even years later after the events have happened because people don't process properly. Basically, Haley is an up-and-coming singer and Ace is a security guard. The 2 of them end up being thrown together when Ace is assigned to protect Haley from any potential danger, and by potential I mean there is danger, which I did really, really like. I loved the intensity of the actual risk that was in here and getting to see his protective side. Ace is truly the touch her and die kind. He is devoted to keeping her safe for a multitude of reasons. One, because it is his job, but two, because he would rather die than let anything happen to her. And I love this dynamic and getting to see this like protective side of him. But I also just love to see the depth of their feelings as they grow and as they process things that have happened in the past and things that are happening in the present. I just really, really loved it. The thing that did get a little annoying was the repetition of the back and forth of their relationship, because they have a history and there is some heartbreak and there are some things that the two of them dealt with from when they were younger. It feeds into them as like college and just post-college age in the present timeline, and I do think it was a little bit repetitive of them going over the same things. Will they, won't they? Should we, shouldn't we? We're sleeping together, but we probably shouldn't be, but we're gonna do it anyway, and then we're just gonna regret it the next day. And it was a lot of back and forth, but I also feel like even though it was back and forth, there were still some really solid conversations, and Haley has a really solid friend group that comes alongside her and really does not take Ace's crap. Like, they are really, really solid for Haley, and I do think it helps to keep everything a little bit more realistic and making sure that they're making good decisions, or at least logical decisions. So I like how all of that kind of fit together, but really the intensity of this, the constant risk and the constant like looking out for danger at every turn, and the fact that there was in fact danger in this book, it just felt like everything kept moving. It kept moving. This was only 300 pages and it went so fast. I really, really loved this book, and I really can't wait for it to come out. So hopefully other people are going to try this. I literally had heard nothing about this book before I got this from my local indie who had a couple of arcs that they were offering, and I am so fortunate to be able to read this book, but I need more people to read it now because it was so good. Bodyguard trope, brother's best friend trope, basically childhood friends to lovers trope, a lot of that back and forth vibe, but we also have the incredible friend group, and there's a bit of jealousy going on here too. Plus it's an aspiring singer, so we get a lot of the like music industry celebrity type of vibe. I honestly cannot wait for this book to come out because this comes out in June and I need other people to read it so that I can talk to people about it because it was so, so, so good. Little dark, a lot of trauma, but so, so good. But now I have to move on from it, and I don't know how to do that. So I did pick another book that I'm going to be reading now that one is done. Yeah, it's a completely different vibe. I am completely shifting focus here, and I'm going to be jumping into The Trials of Lila Dalton by L.J. Shepard. I don't know what to think about this book. I'm going to be honest. I did look up the ratings on Goodreads and they are not good. The ratings are not looking good. So I'm a little nervous about this one. It is a thriller. It's a courtroom thriller. Essentially, our main character, Lila Dalton, is going to come to consciousness in the middle of a courtroom and realize that she has no idea who she is, where she is, how she got there, what the heck she's doing. Somehow she is involved in a court proceeding and she is the lawyer in the middle of a murder trial. So she has to figure out what to do and how to do it. But she knows that she somehow has gotten to this point and everybody around her believes that she knows what she's doing. So she has to fake it till you make it, I guess, and figure out how to run this murder trial without totally letting everything fall apart while she actually has no memory of what's going on. It sounds like it's going to be very, very complicated, but I'm excited to try this because I've had this arc for a very, very long time. It's one of my backlist things that like I just never got around to, but I really, really want to. So I am going to be reading this one and hoping for the best, hoping that I can turn one of those negative reviews around because it has like the majority of reviews being 3 stars and there's like very few 4 and 5. So I am trying to keep a positive mindset going into this book. I have not really been super heavy into thrillers lately, so I'm hoping that this one is still going to work for me. I do feel excited to go into it, which is a good sign. So without any more waiting, I am going to go ahead and jump into this. Happy Monday morning. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and Monica is tired. So I am in the Dunkin' drive-thru waiting on my coffee order, and then I will be heading off to work. I am not looking forward to that, but needs must. So I need to give you a little bit of an update on what today's gonna look like. I am hoping to get some reading in the office, but honestly, it depends on if my coworker's there. And if he's not, then I will be reading on my Kindle. I am still working on ARC week here, so I am halfway through The Trials of Lila Dalton right now, and honestly, I'm actually enjoying this a lot more than I kind of expected to based on the reviews. I think I went into it with some open expectations. I also didn't read the description super closely. So basically, this book is turning out to be a lot more similar to Shutter Island than I thought it was going to be. there are not necessarily supernatural elements going on, but definitely these like mind twisty kinds of things. And there's this question of like, what is real? Is this reality? What can you trust? Who can you trust? And it's a little bit more than just a courtroom thriller, in my opinion, which is what I thought this book was going to be based on some of these reviews. But I am having a really fun time with it, so I'm looking forward to continuing on in it. It's not super fast-paced, so it does like trudge a little bit. However, I do like the story, and I think the idea that Lila doesn't have her memory and is like slowly regaining things, but only has memory of like some of the legal jargon that even she questions, like, how the heck do I know this? Like, I think that's really fascinating, so I'm looking forward to seeing where the rest of this book is going to go. It's a happy Tuesday. Despite the rain outside, I am in the Dunkin' line again. It is a dreary, rainy day today, so I do need to pick me up with some coffee, and I'm getting a large coffee today, but also I love the rain. It's like some of my favorite weather, so I'm actually really excited for the day. It means the day's probably going to be a little bit slower at work, which is exciting for me. It means that I might get some reading time, because yesterday I did not get any reading time. I read like 5% of my book, so I'm really hoping that I can make some more progress today. I want to finish my book today, if at all possible, so that I can potentially fit in another book before the end of the week. So here's to hoping that today goes well so that I can finish The Trials of Lila Dalton. I am still liking it, but I'm starting to like it a little bit less. Things are getting a little too twisty, and it's not making the most sense. So I will keep you updated when I make more progress. I feel like I don't really have much content update since yesterday, but once I finish the book, I will definitely have more things to say, I'm certain, but I'm hoping for the best, but prepared for kind of the worst. We have another rainy day today, so on this very rainy Wednesday, it's time to give a little bit of an update, because I didn't let you know that I finished a book yesterday, and I gotta talk about it. So The Trials of Lila Dalton ended up being a really, really complicated and weird kind of time. With my last update, I had said that I was enjoying the book, and that is true. That was true. I was definitely enjoying the book, but in the second half, I've gotta say, the book really started to kind of fall apart. For me, mentally, I could not follow the story. I think it got too confusing. There were too many moving pieces, and the book was trying too hard to be a twisty, manipulative, psychological kind of thriller, and for me, I could not follow it. I didn't know what was happening, and the more the story went on, while I liked the trajectory and I liked the overall plot, I really struggled with actually following every single detail as the story unfolded and understanding the motivations behind different actions, understanding it. It just was a lot. So I feel like as the book went on, I just got more confused. If I was smarter, could I have understood this book? Maybe. But there was so much legal talk. There was so much legal vocabulary that was used. And while at the beginning it wasn't too bad, the more the story went on, the more you were building on the understanding you were supposed to have built up, which I hadn't. So I just didn't know what some of the terms they were talking about. I didn't understand the processes that they were talking about. Also, and this was very unexpected for me based on the synopsis, but this book deals very heavily with conspiracy theories and psychological operations. There's so much talk about like what is reality and trusting your own mind, and a lot of like political infused types of issues. Now this does take place in the UK, and so a lot of things are also a UK culture that like I'm just not familiar with when it comes to the legal system, the political system, the way things work. So some of that was just me not being super aware of like how things would work there. But other than that, it was just a lot more of a mentality and a psychological kind of plot that I was not anticipating and that I was just not able to follow. Did I still like the story? Overall, yes. I just wish I could have followed it a little bit easier because it was a little bit crazy. Did I feel like this book was heading in a Shutter Island trajectory about halfway through? Absolutely. Around the midpoint, I was convinced that this was going to end up being identical to Shutter Island. Thankfully, we did divert from that plot. It did still have the same kind of a vibe to it, but thankfully the actual story and the plot really did not follow that course for the most part. So I am really happy with how that went. I am landing on a 3-star rating for this book. I feel like my overall reading experience, being confused and not being able to follow all these details, was really rough in that second half. And the fact that in the first half you spend a lot of time not knowing what's going on because Lila Lila doesn't know what's going on. It was just a lot to deal with. But I do see a lot of promise, and I think the author's writing was pretty strong as far as like actual diction of things, and a lot of conversations felt very natural. So I do think the writing, because I think this is a debut, and I think the writing is very promising. It was just the content and the legal and psychological and political elements here that were just a little bit difficult for me personally to comprehend. So I'm excited to be able to put that one away. I submitted my feedback for NetGalley, did my reviews, and submitted it for another book against the podcasters. I'm so sorry, guys. Who are we kidding? I'm not sorry at all. This is why I'm here. I am thrilled that I was able to submit another book against the podcasters for this week. And I also started my next book as well, which is another arc. And now I am in the middle of reading Love in Focus by Lila Lee. This is a romance about a photographer and like a journalist for a lifestyle magazine. And the two are going to be paired up to do this really, really insane article theme. The catch is that the two of them had dated in college, so they are exes. So this is going to be kind of a second chance kind of situation, but they are also forced to be working together and going to have to confront some of these complicated feelings that they have, especially because of the way that they broke up, and both of them were very, very heartbroken of it. And we get a couple of chapters from Celeste's POV. She's the photographer, but the main story is from Gemma's point of view, and we see from both sides of the picture that both of these women were in love with each other. So we kind of know that it's going to be a very messy, emotional kind of journey here, but I'm really excited to see where it's going to go already in the book, and I'm about 40% in right now. Already, I am loving the communication that they have. Yes, there are things that they are keeping to themselves and keeping private and trying to process through on their own. However, I have to say that the communication that they are having through some of their conflicts of the past have been so incredible. I love the one conversation that they have had already where they sat down and they just laid it all out of like, this is how I'm feeling, this is what happened from my point of view when we broke up, and like they started to understand why the other was so upset about things. And I was like, wait, we have healthy communication in a romance? I'm here for it. I absolutely hate the miscommunication trope, especially when it just comes from a lack of communication where they refuse to actually confront any of the things that are going on, any of the conflicts, any of the emotions. And in this book already, we are directly confronting those things and trying to put it to rest and also move on. And because this book takes place in a professional career-based environment, they have other factors that are in play in the current timeline as well. So I'm very, very excited to keep going in this book, see how this is going to work out. I also know that this is going to be the June book for Afterlight Romance subscription box, and so I need to finish this book so that I know whether or not I want to get the special edition. So that is going to be one of the decisions that I make once I finish this book. So stay tuned for some more updates. Hopefully I can finish it either today or tomorrow and get these points in, and hopefully I can get one more book submitted for the podcasters, or I should say against the podcasters. I'd love to get one more in there, but even if I don't, the good news is that it can just go towards my next team that I'm reading against anyway. But that's where we're at for right now, and of course stay tuned for my next update to see how far I can get.
A precious little baby. Oh my goodness, how cute! Taking shelter from the rain. Like a little cutie patootie.
Another week has come and gone, so it is time for a final update on the end of week 2 of Escape the Readathon. Let's go over the last 2 books that I managed to squeeze in for this week. The first one, I did finish Love in Focus by Lila Lee, and I landed on a 4-star rating for this. I had a really, really good time reading this book. I absolutely loved Gemma and Celeste. I feel like both of them were really strong characters. They had very successful careers, and they were able to put aside personal matters for the professional side of their lives, but at the same time they did not ignore the personal matters, and they confronted them head on in a lot of different ways while still maintaining their own privacy and ability to process things internally. I love the healthy elements of their relationship, and I really, really liked getting to see the progression as the story went on. I thought this was an excellent story, and I still don't know if I'm gonna end up getting the special edition of it, just because I am really trying to pull back on some of my finances and kind of deserve some of the books that I am getting from special edition boxes. So I still have to make that decision, but I really liked this story and I feel like it is very deserving of a 4-star rating for me. And I very much am looking forward to reading more from this author. I definitely can see myself reading other books in the future. The reason this didn't quite make it to my 5-star list is because of 2 factors. First of all, the ending of the story ended up having some kind of rushed moments. The last couple of chapters felt like they happened in a whirlwind and I wasn't prepared for it. There was a little bit of a time jump that I wasn't expecting, and I don't love time jumps in my stories. I feel like a lot of the time they end up feeling too abrupt. Sometimes if they're planned well, it can work, but for me, I just tend to not love time jumps. So when it happened in this book towards the end, I just didn't love it. But the other element that was more throughout the entire book, so we do get POVs from both Gemma and Celeste. Most of the chapters are from Gemma's POV, but we get a couple Celeste chapters. The problem for me and what really took me out of the story was that all of Celeste's chapters were from third point of view versus all of Gemma's being first point of view. And I really feel like this was a weird choice to have because I don't know, it just felt like I wasn't connecting to Celeste as much as I could have and I wanted to because I loved both characters, and just shifting in that POV. And the Celeste chapters were also very, very short, but switching from first to third and then back again was just oh, I don't know, it was a choice and I didn't love it. So those are a couple reasons why this didn't quite get the 5-star review that I was hoping for, but I still really, really liked this and absolutely recommend it for people who love romance and love some healthy communication when it comes to especially the workplace and having to work with people that you have had history with or have current feelings with as well. But there is one other book that I managed to squeeze in at the end of the week. The problem is I ended up DNFing it, but I DNF'd it at 52%, so I did still get to count this for escape. And this one is A Favor Ode by Marissa Caruso, and I so badly wanted to like this. This is an arc from Entangled Amara, and I was so intrigued by the concept, which is a mafia princess who betrays her family and then has to basically go into a self-imposed hiding, self-imposed witness protection, basically changing her identity and finding a new place to live so that she can feel safe from her family, that they're not going to hunt her down. So she starts a new life for herself, but she is a college student and she ends up interacting with a guy from one of her classes, and he kind of starts hanging around her. They hang out a couple times and they both start to develop feelings for each other. The catch is, and you know this very, very early, is that Brady, the guy that's in her class, he has some secrets that he is not telling her. Obviously, she has a lot of secrets. She's not telling anyone about her real identity, but Brady knows who she is. And we learn that very early on. He knows her identity. He knows kind of a little bit about why she's running, but not the actual reason why she has left her family. And he is after something very specific from her because of his own involvement in her life story, but she doesn't know his involvement. So he has all this information and she has none of it, but she feels like she is the one that's hiding all these secrets because she can't share who she really is. And so there is definitely this power imbalance in that way, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. I just really hated Brady. I hated being in his brain, first of all. And we do get both POVs. We get Angela and we get Brady, and I was dreading every single moment we switched to Brady's POV because his mind was just not a great place to be. I do believe this is a republishing of this book that came out a number of years ago, and it sounds like maybe they had edited out some of the really weird lines that he had thought in his head that were kind of gross and potentially maybe even offensive. I don't believe were in the edition that I had. However, the things that they did still have in the book, I did not love. The way he was thinking about her and talking about her in his own mind, I just did not love it, especially because I feel like we are supposed to see him as this innocent boy next door kind of guy with secrets, but still relatively a gentleman, respectful. But in his mind, he is so far from that, and it was just really rubbing me the wrong way. It was giving me whiplash quite a bit. And when I got to about the halfway point, I realized that I was not enjoying the story as much as I wanted to, and I was basically just forcing myself to read it because it was an arc. And truly, I just don't think that that's necessary. So in talking to Lexi, who is the unofficially acclaimed DNF queen, it was a very easy decision to DNF this book, put it down, not revisit it, and I am perfectly fine with that. So I DNF this one, but I did still get to submit it against the NetGalley podcasters, so you're welcome for that. But that is the end of all of my updates for week 2. We are going into week 3, which I will also be against the podcasters again, which is super, super exciting. They cannot get rid of me that easily. So I'm very excited to be jumping into the next week, but I want to thank you so much for watching this video, for following along on my reading journey, and if you're participating in Escape, I hope you're having a great time, and I want to thank you for, 1, participating because it's super fun readathon, but 2, for watching this vlog and supporting me, because every moment that you spend here really means the world to me, and I so appreciate it. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope that I will see you in the next one. Bye!